How does the Instagram algorithm actually work, and why is your content not performing? In today's video, we're talking a little bit about the Instagram algorithm, different myths, and things that you might not know about the algorithm. So let's dive right in. Number one, there isn't just one Instagram algorithm, and the question that I hear most of the time is, was there an Instagram algorithm change? Or I bet there was an algorithm change because my content is not performing. And I've started Instagram in 2015, so 10 years ago, and I heard the same question since then. First of all, there isn't just one algorithm, it's constantly changing, and Instagram is constantly making smaller changes. So most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, it's not the algorithm, it's your content that just is not good enough to stand out in a sea of other content. Even if it's mediocre, it won't stand out. And another thing that people usually blame on the algorithm is that the times and the trends have changed. And with trends, I don't mean a specific dance. I mean what was really working and trending versus what works now. It's a bit like with fashion, right? What was considered good 10 years ago might not be considered so good anymore. So it's the same with Instagram. So if you're still posting one single image with a caption and you're not performing well, it's because you didn't go with the trend, because right now Instagram prefers Reels and longer watch time and has focused more on entertainment and shares. So the times have changed, not necessarily the algorithm, and your content might be still stuck in one of these other times. That is one thing. So the algorithm changes constantly. You want to look up what works right now for your audience. That's the number one thing that I see people make mistakes. They look at what an influencer tells them, or even what I tell them. There's only one true voice, and that is the data in your own account. So when you go to your Instagram dashboard and your insights, if the data shows a certain type of content is not working for your audience, stop doing it. Don't try 50 more times. If it's not working, try something different and do more of what works. It's so simple, yet people keep trying the same thing over and over again because it has worked for their friend or for a big influencer or for someone else. You want to do what works best for you. You got to run your own tests. Now, there are certain things that you want to think of. Like I said, Instagram values entertainment, and what they value most though is relationships between closer friends. That means in DMs. So what they think is the most valuable, and that's according to interviews with the head of Instagram, Adam Mosseri. Also, Mark Zuckerberg has said that many times, is when I share a video to my best friend or to my husband, that's like the most strongest connection, and that's the strongest signal that some piece of content is super valuable, because I take the time out of my day to share that with someone else. So it must be a good piece of content. So when you create content, you want to think of, how can I make this content so that it wants to be shared with a close friend or with a family member, right? Now, obviously, some pieces of content are easier than others. And a lot of the times we also forget that Instagram values originality. So if you repost videos, and even if you accredit the original creator, it will be downranked. So if I share a funny video as a meme or a funny post as a meme that I saw doing well on someone else's account, it will be downranked, because only the original video, the one who actually posted it in the first place, will get the credit and will get like a lot of views, etc., while as yours won't be. So how can you create original content that speaks directly to your target audience? And I will do a separate video, maybe by the time you're watching this, it's already been out, how you can create content that speaks to your audience and constantly come up with content ideas. But that's a separate video. Right, so we talked about coming up with content ideas that people want to share. And one thing that you want to look at is patterns. You never just want to look at one single post and think, why has this one post flopped? and all the others have done well? You will most likely never figure that out, because so many things impact an algorithm, not just the technical part, but also what's happening in the world in one given day. So many political events can happen, world news, anything on the world will impact how Instagram shows your content. For example, around Christmas, when everybody is posting their Christmas trees and like their family holidays, most likely this content will be favored by Instagram and not your entertaining video. Even if it might be the best video for in a few weeks, at that specific day it didn't perform well, most likely because other things were favored. So one single piece of content will never give you insight on why something works or something doesn't. So you want to look at patterns. For example, what we figured out after a while at looking at our patterns was that every time I talk about pricing and packages, the engagement was really high. So I realized, okay, people are interested in that. When I would talk about something different, let's say how to come up with content ideas, people were not so engaging. That made me realize, okay, people are interested in that one specific topic. Give them more of what they want, right? How can I create more content, diverse content, and around this specific topic? So you want to look for patterns. And if you see that something is not working, stop doing it. That brings me to my last point, which was engagement. So if people are engaging with your content, that means they're either commenting on it or they're sharing on it, the DMs or to their stories. It means that that piece of content is valuable and important, right? So Instagram will most likely show it to a bigger audience and see if a bigger audience will also connect with it. Again, you want to look at your insights. In the insights, you will see, is it most likely watched by followers or by non-followers? That could also give you an indication. Another big thing that Instagram keeps saying is watch time. How long is somebody watching your content, like your reels? So in the beginning, the first 3 seconds, if you're not hooking them in to watch the full video and you've already lost them in the first 2 seconds, you won't get more views, right? This is a signal back to the algorithm that your content is not valuable. Maybe you have the most impactful message on second 5 or on second 6. If you don't make people watch up until that point, we will never know. The Instagram algorithm will never know, people will never know. So you need to make sure that your message is on point in the first 3 seconds specifically so that people keep watching. And then lastly, I will have to remind myself of that as well, is how aesthetically pleasing your content is really not as impactful as your messaging. Now, there are obviously exceptions, like for example, if your account is about interior design, it should be aesthetically pleasing, right? For example, my content or even your content as a social media manager, you can spend hours, come up with really nice footage and it's aesthetically pleasing and the feed looks perfect, but the message is a bit lame or even mediocre. People won't watch that. Remember, we're all scrolling through the feed super fast. It's like one input after another. People come on the app to be entertained, and if your first 3 seconds are not hooking me in to keep watching the video, I won't, right? So remember that. And also one last message from me, you can go and find out the best hooks on ChatGPT, and most likely you've already done that, we've all done that, but let's make sure that we also remember behind the phone is a human person. How can you create content that evokes an emotion and that speaks to an emotion? All of these things that we get on ChatGPT are helpful, but also remember that the best piece of content is coming from you, creating, evoking an emotion in another human being. So always think about that as well. Let me know in the comments below what kind of things you have noticed, what kind of best practices you have, and if you want me to do more videos like this. Okay guys, see you in the next video. Bye.